But this GM survey that comes out every year from John Schumann, and he's been doing it now, I think, for like 12 or 13 years, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, the Celtics are the favorite. We touched on this in Grab Bag on Monday. They're the favorite to win the championship. Duh. They're unanimous to get out of the East, almost. So there's a few things to read into in this survey. And again, this is all GMs that are surveyed throughout the league.
Yeah, it's all 30 of them.
It's important to know you cannot vote for your own team.
Got it.
And so the Celtics were unanimous to get out of the East, except for one vote. Correct? Do I have this right, Terp? Maybe Terp can
Terp sniff this out, so
yell
we're
down
going to
the
blame
hall.
Terp if it's wrong. But this is a great reading between the lines here by Terp.
So one GM voted for Cleveland as the best team in the East, and that means Brad Stevens could not vote for his Celtics.
If he was following the rules, which I feel like Brad Stevens would.
Oh, big stickler for the rules.
Classic
Big
rule guy.
rules follower.
So he voted for
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's my team. I think they're the second best team.
So interesting. So you and Brad Stevens both like Cleveland. And
We know hoop.
Obviously, he's not down on his own team. That's not the case we're making.
No.
But Brad Stevens, that's his way of letting you know he doesn't either fear, if you want to put it one way, or really love the moves that the Sixers and the Knicks made.
It is bizarre that you kind of force him into bulletin board material. Like, I'm sure the last thing Stevens wants to do is be on record saying that the Knicks with their moves and the Sixers with their moves aren't the next best team. Right? Like, if you asked Brad Stevens face-to-face in an interview, you said, who's the biggest challenge in the East? No chance he just tells you Cleveland, or even picks one team.
You wouldn't think,
He would either say, our biggest challenge is us. Like, we got to stay healthy, or like whatever like that. No, we can't be complacent. Or he would name like 5 teams. That's just my guess.
So here you go. So here's the actual math on it. 97%, 29 out of 30 GMs voted for the Celtics to win the East. 3% voted for Cleveland. You're not allowed to vote for your own team, which means
you pick Cleveland. I think it's great, and I agree with him.
It has to be that.
But because
Brad Stevens can't vote for the Celtics. 29 GMs did. He had to have voted for Cleveland.
So it's anonymous to a point, because you can easily sniff it out if there's a situation like
that
this.
Imbalanced. Yes,
it's probably the only way you can do it. Or I mean, if there's like 2 votes, but that you wouldn't know which team it was for or whatever. But because like the West is much more wide open, right? There's a bunch of teams that could win the West.
So bulletin board material for the Knicks and the Brad Stevens headline from the John Schumann NBA GM survey.
Kind of is.
Brad Stevens thinks the Sixers and Knicks kind of stink.
Now,
sneaky stink.
Does that carry weight with Joel Embiid?
Gee willikers, these teams stink.
Does Joel Embiid take that and care? I don't know.
There's no way this is going to cross their bow. There's Terp sniffed it out. Good job by Terp. There's no way this is on their radar.
You don't think Jalen Brunson is going to be up at night thinking about this?
Right.
But maybe
like Uncle Leo lifting weights. Yeah. Jerry, hello. Like he's just doing over and over again.
A lot of rivalry, pretty bad. They always keep our eyes.
Yeah, Embiid could be steaming about it. I think other GMs might make note of it, though. Be like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
I do. The other one that I know got some people hot and bothered. This is interesting.
Yes.
Best head coach in the NBA. You wouldn't say Mazzulla's the best head coach, right?
No, probably not.
I know Wiggy's made that case.
I think everybody has said Spoelstra, and I would probably have to say Spoelstra, too, because I don't think the Heat are that good.
It's Spoelstra,
and
for
they
sure.
keep winning. So.
And you and I mean, this is a long time ago, a decade ago, working together, we used to mock Eric Spoelstra. We're
Correct.
like, what a joke, what a little twerp.
Just getting water for LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, it's like every other head coach for LeBron. But it turns out...
No, he's actually awesome.
No, he's a great coach. So Mark Daigneault finished second for Oklahoma City. Steve Kerr finished third, which is a joke.
The local guy, right?
Yeah, I think he's Lemonster.
Yeah.
So Steve Kerr finishing third is a joke. That's an absolute joke.
He's not.
Mark Daigneault over Mazzulla, I would question as well. Mazzulla got no votes. Mike Budenholzer, Chris Finch got votes. So he does not show up in the best head coach in the NBA. This is not fans. This is GM's ranking.
Budenholzer just get fired like 2 years ago?
Correct. But when asked about the best motivator or manager of people, Joe Mazzulla finished third, behind Kerr and Spoelstra. When asked which head coach has the best offense, Mazzulla finished second to Rick Carlisle. When asked which coach has the best defensive scheme, he finished fourth behind Spoelstra, Finch, and Thibodeau.
So he's top 4 offense and defense?
He's fourth in defense, second in offense, and the third best motivator, and yet he got no votes as the best head
motivator.
coach.
So
yes.
what else is there?
Those
are the 3 things I would think.
I don't understand.
Can't get a sniff. Yeah, he's not getting a lot of credit because the roster is so good. That happens a lot.
Right. But like, you think Steve Kerr's a great coach? He had an awesome roster. What are you talking about?
100%.
You know, so like
it's not consistent at all.
Spoelstra, I get. Daigneault has a great roster, and it's young, but it's a great roster in Oklahoma City. Everybody who wins has great rosters.
True.
And so, look, I had plenty of questions about Mazzulla, just like I questioned Spoelstra early on. I was wrong about both. Mazzulla should at least be in the top 5 as a head coach, right?
I would think so, especially if the Celtics are unanimous to come out of the East this year. Like they're going to run away with it.
Their own GM doesn't believe in them.
But also, and I know their roster has changed, but the Stevens couldn't break through. Udoka got there but couldn't win it. So like Mazzulla took this team and like broke through. Like he was able to do, like he got the most out of those guys. So yeah, he won me over because his first year I was like, I'd roll my eyes at most of the stuff that he said. You're like, oh my God, like this guy. But the players like him. They all think he's a maniac.
I mean, he talks like a serial killer.
He does.
Yeah.
Well documented. He talks like a serial killer.
We've proven on this show, yes.
People were stumped left, right, and center trying to figure that out. But,
Correct.
But no, he's won me over. I mean, in the NBA, it is such a players' league. Like, it is all about the players. But if you are ranking the coaches, I don't know how you can't take the reigning NBA champion and give him more credit than he's getting.
No, this I agree. It's like we can debate how much of an impact Mazzulla really has, but how much of an impact does any coach really have?
Compared to the other guys,
it's about the roster.
Yeah.
Could Mazzulla coach the Oklahoma City Thunder where Mark Daniel coached them last year? My guess is yes. All due respect, Lemonster, my guess is yes.
So, you know who I think might actually be a top 3 or 4 coach?
Yeah, Carlisle?
Ime Udoka.
Oh, Udoka.
That Rockets team's trash. Now, they missed the playoffs, but they were right there. But they were close.
But they started hot and kind of fell off, didn't they? Or did I have that wrong?
Yeah, they finished 500.
Yeah.
That roster's garbage.
True.
And so I think if you're looking at it that way, like who got the most out of their roster, because all the other guys that we're talking about have Hall of Famers on their team, essentially. Maybe Jalen Green will be great one day, but there's not a lot there in Houston. So I think he's pretty damn good.
I do still like Carlisle's a little insufferable as an individual, but I do still like Carlisle as a coach.
Well, that was a big bounce back for him because he was toiling away there as like a bad. You're like, what's up with this guy?
It fell flat for him. Yeah. It fell flat for him as it does with a lot of coaches when they're around for too
long. You
don't
have Popovich number 1?
I really, speaking of guys I really can't stand. 617-779-7937. That's the NBA GM survey. Comes out annually, some takeaways.